Hi everyone, Clara here, and today I'm making a miniature snowman with a snow-covered pine tree. The first thing you'll need are 3 small balls of white clay, each smaller than the last. I chose a white glittery clay to represent the sparkling reflection that fresh snow gives off, but I don't know how well that shows up on camera. But first things first, we are constructing our snowman's body by squishing the clay pieces together. Moving on to the lumps of coal for the eyes and buttons, I'm rolling out tiny pieces of black clay. And I mean tiny. For the stick arms, I'm taking a small ball of brown clay and rolling that into a thin log. Then you'll cut the ends off on either side to create a short pointy stick. I'm re-rolling the ends of the main log until it coincidentally looks like an unimpressed emoji. Then I'm cutting off the tapered tips. Connect these to the end of your sticks and you got yourself some hands. We can't forget about the carrot nose, so grab a tiny ball of orange and roll out one end till you have a cone. Then cut to your desired length. You could also add some texture with the pointed silicone tool or toothpick, or you can leave it as is. Here in Canada, I suspect our winters are cold enough to even make a snowman shiver. So let's add a festive scarf. I'm rolling out 2 logs, one red and one green, and then pushing them together. Cutting off the rough ends. Then we'll create our scarf pattern by cutting off 2mm sections at a time, and stacking them side by side along the blade, making a red-green repeating pattern. Continue until you run out of clay to cut, and gently press down with a silicone tool on the scarf to both join the pieces together and separate it from the blade. I'm also cutting off a sliver on each side of the scarf to straighten the edges, and with that done, it is now time for assembly. I'm first preparing our snowman by pressing indents where I want the eyes, nose, buttons, and arms to go. I do this not only so I know where I want to place them, but also to avoid squishing the details into unrecognizable blobs while still having them sit flush on the face and body. I use a sculpting tool to place everything, as this work is just a bit too delicate to be using my clumsy fingers. So I'm carefully draping the scarf on our snowman from behind, then ever so carefully wrapping the scarf around the neck, pressing down as I go to secure it in place. I thought the scarf looked a little bit too short, so I quickly made another small section and added that to the end of the scarf, patting that in place and finally adding the arms. I had to fix the first hand a bit, then when I placed the other, I gave it a little wave. Are you waving back? Don't leave him hanging. Now off to the oven, and our snowman was looking a little bit lonely, so I wanted to create a scenery for it to stand in. I'm making a pine tree by rolling out a ball of green clay into a cone. I'm also pressing it against the table to flatten the bottom out. When you're happy with the shape, grab a larger ball-pointed tool and press into the bottom of the cone and pull the edges down to hold it in place. Next, take a small pair of scissors. I think these are for your nails, but I'm not sure. And you're going to be making small cuts into the tree, starting from the top, angling the scissors slightly upwards and continuing to make small cuts next to the previous one in a downward spiral pattern. I don't know if that made sense, but it's probably easier to just watch what I'm doing. Be sure to wipe off any extra clay that sticks to your scissors so each cut is nice and clean. And as you work your way down the tree, start making the cuts slightly bigger as you go. Or don't, your choice. Now, either when you run out of clay or you're happy with the height of the tree, it's now time to cut off any extra clay at the bottom. Cut your tree away from the base and try not to let it fall, or at least not very far, as you don't want to squish all the hard work you just did. And now it's ready for the oven. I'm doing a 10-minute pre-bake because I want to preserve the shape the way it is before I cover it in snow. To do this, I'm mixing white clay and some liquid Sculpey together, though I added way too much liquid Sculpey. I should have done a 1-to-1 ratio. But after a few minutes of mixing, I was left with my very runny snow. Now I wanted to have an area of snow for the tree to sit on, so I squished and pulled a ball of glittery white clay into an irregular shape and prepared the tree by giving it a short stump with a squished ball of brown clay, and of course adding liquid Sculpey to glue all the pieces together. With the tree in place, all that's left is to add our snow. I used a toothpick and draped our snow mixture onto every branch. I first applied them just as messy globs, but then I took my time to spread the snow out afterwards, trying to cover as much of the tree as possible while still having the green edges peeking through. But now with all my branches covered, Our tree is ready to go into the oven for another 15 minutes at 230 degrees. Then once it's baked, our snowman has a nice cool place to hang out. If you liked watching the building process, or you plan to make a snowman of your own, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.